Hi there folks, Joel Self, Outdoor Instructor here, and today I've rigged us up a couple of temporary bolts so that we can start looking at how we rig using a sling and making anchors from 2 bits of gear. So stay on the video and hopefully we can teach you something. Method number 1 is going to be the setup you actually just saw there in the intro video. So if I take this knot out I've left in it, we'll start off by clipping our sling to either side, either bit of gear, making sure the sewn bit of the sling is nice and high out of the way, it's not in the bottom of the V. We're going to take this into the direction of pull, make sure that it's sat nice and neatly, and we're simply going to tie an overhand or a figure of 8 in that spot. I tend to go for a figure of 8 myself, it's just a little bit easier to undo. You can then take your carabiner, clip it through the bottom, you can clove hitch on there with your climbing rope, and that's you safe. You shout down to your mate, and when they get up to you, they can either clip through the same spot, that would be no problem. Alternatively, if you want a bit of separation between the two of you, just to keep things neat when you're adjusting clove hitches and such, then you take their carabiner, get it clipped through both loops, and they can sit in the shelf up there. So it just keeps you guys a little bit further apart, and that way it's a bit easier to work around each other. That's method number 1. Method number 2. We've got the sewn bit of sling tucked up out the way, and our sling's just clipped to both bits of gear basically. That's what's going on so far. We're going to find our middle point once we've adjusted for direction of pull. So for me that's straight down, and we're going to hold that point so that we've got note of it. Then we can unclip the sling from one bit of gear, and where we've measured to, we're just going to pop a quick overhand. And you want to use an overhand here rather than a figure of 8 because it's easier to adjust in a second. So we'll get that clipped back in. Now if you measured really well, then that might be sat right in the bottom of your V straight away. For me it's slightly off to the side here, so we're just going to adjust that a little bit. Okay, yeah, that's spot on where we want it. So what this has done is given me one loop on this side and one loop on this side, and so I'm just going to take my carabiner and simply clip through both those loops. There we go. When your second gets up to you, they can also clip in through those same 2 loops. That's no problem at all. Method number 3. This time we're going to look at popping a clove hitch on each bit of the gear. And we're going to adjust this so that the sewn bit of sling is sort of out of our way a bit. So we'll put that just a little bit higher. Okay, now we don't want this to be tight across the middle because that is not part of our anchor, so we don't want it to affect the way that these 2 bits of gear interact with each other and the way they load share. We're going to be building our anchor off the remaining long piece of sling. So if we pinch that together, we'll pop a quick overhand in there, or figure of 8 if you want a slightly easier to undo knot. Grab your carabiner, clip it in the bottom, anchor's done. Clove hitch on that, shout to your mate that you're safe, they can come up. And when they come up, unlike the first anchor we went through, they can't go clipping through anything up here. There's not loops that we can go through. So they need to be clipping into that same master point as you down at the bottom, and that will be absolutely fine. Little bonus clip for you, there's one setup I do not use myself and I do not recommend. I'm going to show you quickly why. So we take our 120 sling and we're going to clip it through both carabiners. And this is called the Magic or Sliding X, and it's not a anchor that I would use myself, and therefore it's not something I would recommend that other people use. We've pulled our sling to a V and we simply put a twist in either the front or the back bit of material. That leaves us a V on one strand and an X on the other. You take your carabiner and you clip it through all of that at the bottom, and it will now slide from one side and the other so that it can always be in equal tension to both bits of gear. So if you have to move around on the belay whilst your climber's coming up, it will always stay in tension, whereas our other anchors, where there's sort of isolation, if you move over to one side, they will go slack. That is absolutely true. But what I do not like about this is that if you're climbing and you've built this anchor, one of your bits of gear blows, you are going to suddenly have massive extension and a huge shock load going through the sling and the bit of gear that you've got remaining. For me, that's totally unacceptable and is a reason why I will never use this anchor. I know that there are plenty of people who teach it and plenty of people who use it, but I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts on the Sliding X or Magic X. So folks, I hope that that video was really helpful for you all and that you maybe learnt something today. If you didn't, then maybe it was just a good refresher to see those again. And I know whilst we're all in isolation at the moment, we're not going to be able to get out and practice those, but try them around chair legs or something, on your banister, wherever you can, and just get those skills really nailed so that when we're all back out, hopefully a bit later this year, then those skills will just feel second nature and you'll have no problems setting up quickly and safely when you're going up through the pitches of your climb. I've been Joel Self Outdoor Instructor. Thank you very much for watching.